Hello and welcome to West Country Wanderings. Welcome to part 3 of my Secrets of the Thames and Severn Canal, part of my wider canal series here on the channel. Today we're going to be having a look at the Battle of the Latton Bypass. Now, when I've been doing these videos both on the Thames and Severn Canal and also on the Stroud Water, it's a combination of things that happened in the past, in the case of the Stroud Water, other navigation that predated what we know today as the Stroud Water Canal, but also to bring you up to date with things that happened more recently. And it's the latter that we'll be looking at today. Now, Latton is in Wiltshire, and I do apologise for the noise today because we're just off the main road, the A419, that comes from the M5 down to the M4 just beyond Swindon. It's a very busy dual carriageway. But that is crucial to our story of the Battle of the Latton Bypass. First of all, let's tell you what this is behind me. This is Waymore Bridge, which opened in 1788 and just carried a narrow track over the Thames and Severn Canal at this point here. When the Wilts and Berks Canal opened, or more specifically the North Wilts Arm, which links the Wilts and Berks Canal to the Thames and Severn Canal at this location, and we'll hop and have a quick look at the basin here, it had more importance because more goods were coming in and across that bridge. Now, this section of the canal closed, I think it was around 1923, and by the 1930s this bridge here was in a very, very dilapidated state. And it was repaired entirely by the Cotswold Canals Trust volunteers in the eastern section here in 2016, and it looks really delightful today. So I hope you can join me on this tour looking at the Battle of the Latton Bypass. Now, I have been here before on one of my Stroud Water and Thames and Canals regular updates. There'll be another one of those updates coming later in the year to have a look at the start of the restoration work on the missing mile. But this is a really important location. It was here that the North Wilts Canal, which connects up to the Wilts and Berks Canal at Swindon, joined the Thames and Severn Canal. Now, just beyond this barbed wire fence here, you might be able to make out a Latton Basin. I'll see if I've got a better photograph of it. It's a little bit overgrown from this side to give you an indication of what that looked like. It's quite a large canal basin, but that's not the only thing. At this point, just behind that barbed wire fence, was an aqueduct, and that aqueduct was to carry the North Wilts Canal over the River Churn, which lies just in there, just out of shot. But so there originally would have been an aqueduct to get the canal from the Thames and Severn and into Latton Basin. And then it makes its way further on down on the North Wilts Arm, which I'm hoping to do a separate video about as part of my Wilts and Berks Canal series very, very soon. Anyway, that's not what we're here for today. Our story today actually goes back to the early 1970s. In fact, I think the road was proposed before that. The road that you can hear behind me, as I said, is a major connection road between the M4 and the M5. In fact, it was planned before either of those motorways were completely finished. And it's to get traffic from the south, mainly HGVs. If you look at the dual carriageway, it's full of HGV lorries, possibly coming up from the south coast to get into the West Midlands by joining the motorway. However, the Thames and Severn Canal, further in an easterly direction, less than half a mile from here, went under the line of the new dual carriageway. And because there was nothing or no restoration at this section at that time, most of the work was focused around the Stroud Water, they decided to completely obliterate the line of the canal. However, the dual carriageway itself was delayed here at Latton, thankfully. And that's where our story gets really interesting. Now, before the North Wilts Canal went over the aqueduct, just before it made the entrance to the Latton Basin, it also went under this bridge around this area here. That's the Thames and Severn there, and that's our bridge where we started our video, of course. And you can make out stones in the towpath here. So this would have been the towpath heading off in that direction towards Siddington and the Cirencester arm, and that way towards Lechlade on Thames. But yes, so we had this bridge here, but you can see, make out some of the abutments just down on that side there. Hopefully at some point this will be restored. But what I'm showing you today isn't at this location. We need to go on about a quarter of a mile there, and unfortunately following that very busy dual carriageway. So I'll do it there, we'll walk there, as I apologise for the extreme traffic noise. So at this point here, I'm making my way along this towpath. You can make out the Thames and Severn Canal there. It is in water because of all the rain that we've had. And that there is the River Churn. So we're going to follow it along here. But further on, we will see that the Thames and Severn Canal becomes completely obliterated and is completely sealed from view because of the aforementioned dual carriageway. However, all is not lost. So this here marks the section where the Thames and Severn Canal is started to have been filled in. Perhaps here, mainly cultivation. You can see it's in water beyond that point, back down towards Siddington. But from here onwards, where the horses are in front of me, I'll show that in a second, it's just a flat field. No sign of where the Thames and Severn Canal once was. And our A419 dual carriageway is just behind the camera. Now the dual carriageway behind me, or plans to open it, all went a bit quiet towards the end of the 1970s and throughout the 1980s. But by the early 1990s, plans to build here had reared its ugly head again. And central government, in their initial planning document to build this road, were going to completely obliterate the canal forever. So once it's reopened, it can't be reopened because there's no connection between one side of the A419 and the other. However, all is not lost, as we shall see. Now we're right up to the dual carriage. We have got this sound barrier here, so hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. But again, apologise for the sheer volume of traffic noise here on this section. Now by 1995, 2 years before construction was due to be completed of the Latton Bypass, feelings were rather tense, particularly with the Cotswold Canals Trust, who would lose their line of the canal to take it from here onwards down to Inglesham and Lechlade upon Thames. Also supporting them were a number of MPs, lots of local residents, and the IWA, the Inland Waterways Association. A ferocious campaign was set up by 1996, and it really did take shape. Letters were flooding into central government and local MPs and various other bodies to campaign and lobby to stop destruction of the canal at this point. But, Paul, you're probably thinking, surely the line of the canal has already been blocked. Well, no it hasn't. Let's have a look. All that campaigning by local people, the CCT, the IWA, lots of people writing in, and local MPs and various other bodies, including Gloucestershire County Council, which I'll come on to in a minute, because you're probably thinking, Paul, you said this was in Wiltshire. Yes, indeed it is. Therein lies a bit of an enigma. There was an announcement made after all that intense lobbying in the middle of 1997. And I got a newsletter here from the Southampton Canal Society. It was published in August of 1997. I managed to find an archived copy on the internet and I printed it off. I'll read what it says. Navigable culvert for Latton Bypass. The IWA welcomed the announcement that a navigable culvert is to be provided for the restoration of the Thames and Severn Canal underneath the new, which it was in 1997, A419 Latton Bypass. This follows many months of intense lobbying from the Cotswold Canals Trust, the IWA and other groups. It goes on, and I'll include a link to it, but this is the important point here. Work on the navigable culvert commenced on Monday the 14th of July 1997. The 31-metre long box culvert construction will be cast on site by constructors RMG, the consortium who are building the new road. However, the new culvert will span just the main dual carriageways and not the side roads. These latter roads will be less difficult to alter when restoration and construction of the canal is being carried out in the future. Of course, what they're referring to here is this side road that I'm currently on at the moment, a minor road, so they'll need to do some form of bridge at this point. Obviously, that's a lot less complicated and expensive than replacing the dual carriageway here or getting the canal under, which we've come across before, of course, here on West Country Wanderings with both the Droitwich Canal and the situation on the Stroudwater Canal with the missing mile on the M5 when that was built in the 60s, early 70s. Droitwich Canal was sold in the early 2010s, and the other one has yet to be built, although planning has now been agreed for that. So you're probably thinking, where is this mysterious culvert that got built? There doesn't appear to be any sign of it behind me. Well, there is a little clue here. I'll just show you. Here are 3 fence posts. And these fence posts, unlike the other in the line of the fence posts here, go into a concrete base. And it's under here that the culvert lies. So what happened after the culvert was constructed, it was actually infilled by soil. And of course, it's quite easy to extract the soil again when you want to build the canal, rather than putting in all of the construction and the girders and everything to carry the weight of the A419 dual carriageway over the top of it. An interesting thing also happened with the funding. You remember I said we are in Wiltshire. Well, it was Gloucestershire County Council that actually agreed to provide quite a large grant to get this culvert built. And you're probably thinking, why Gloucestershire County Council if we're in Wiltshire? Well, the only reason I can think of is because this here is an important part of the entire connection of the Cotswold Canals once it gets to this stage, which is the next stage after the missing mile, of course. And it was important for Gloucestershire County Council to ensure the long-term connectivity of this canal because they realised the benefits for both health and for leisure, tourism, business and income. Well done, Gloucestershire County Council, but I was surprised that Wiltshire County Council didn't appear to be interested in it at all. Our story doesn't end there. It's great that the culvert is in place. As I say, it just needs excavating when this next section to connect up from the Cotswold Water Park to Lechley commences, which will obviously be a few years from now, but it's good that that is already there. However, the battle left a legacy, and that is now meant, it's enshrined in law, that if any railway or road is built across a line of a canal, whether that's an existing canal or a disused canal, provision must be made for a culvert or a bridge. It can't obliterate the line in case restoration will happen in years' time. And that's a fantastic piece of news and legacy that happened here at the Battle of Latton Bypass. Well, that's it. This episode of The Secrets of the Thames and Severn Canal, the Battle of Latton Bypass. Hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. Some things I wasn't aware of when I was doing the research for them, and that's what I find interesting about doing this series and the one on the Stroudwater. There'll be another one on both this canal and the Stroudwater here on West Country Wanderings again very soon. There'll also be other videos on my channel, including one having a more extended long look at the North Wilts arm of the Wilts and Berks Canal. And I'm hoping to get down to Somerset to have a look at the Dorset and Somerset Canal as well, weather willing, because we've had so many wet days, and this towpath here today has been very, very boggy as well. So I just need a few days of drying out the ground before I can tackle very boggy ground when you're filming canal videos. But so I hope you enjoyed it. Till next time on West Country Wanderings, see you soon. Bye for now.